It's not difficult to acquire fat. At the point when you eat food varieties that are oily, rare sugar, or stacked with void calories. Then again, it's difficult to not lose fat. Assuming you utilize specific food varieties that are very filling, high in protein and low in calories, these food sources will normally decrease hunger. They'll assist you with consuming fat, and they'll open a lot of room in your eating regimen for modest suppers. Also, for the primary food that is exceedingly difficult to acquire fat from, we have eggs. What's more, the justification for why I say inordinately difficult is since, supposing that you eat a lot of practically any food, you can obviously gain muscle to fat ratio. However, eggs and different food sources that I'm going to go over will be undeniably challenging to gorge. This is on the grounds that eggs are exceptionally high in protein, and the protein from eggs isn't, truth be told, very filling. However, processing protein will increase your digestion because of something known as the thermic impact of food varieties. So you don't completely ingest every one of the calories from the eggs on the grounds that an enormous part is scorched off during the absorption cycle. So customary eggs, regardless of whether you eat them with the yolks, are probably not going to prompt deep oil drilling. Obviously, assuming you make an omelet and add a few entire milk with a few sugar and afterwards some cheddar, then, at that point, it's something else altogether. In any case, eggs themselves are one of the best protein sources that you can use to top your stomach off, form muscle, and consume fat absent a lot of exertion by any stretch of the imagination. Another extraordinary food is wild-caught salmon. What's more, it's critical that you're explicitly searching for wild-caught as opposed to cultivate-raised. This is on the grounds that homestead-raised salmon contains essentially more fat than wild-caught salmon. Furthermore, this fat is comprised of a higher proportion of omega-6s, which a great many people as of now get a lot of in their eating regimen. While seeing wild-caught salmon and a ranch-raised salmon one next to the other, you can promptly differentiate in how much calories and fat. The homestead-raised salmon will have a lot thicker white lines, which are really dashes of fat. So wild-caught salmon is extraordinary on the grounds that it's extremely high in protein, very filling, and it has a large portion of the fat substance that homestead-raised salmon does. Next, we have celery. Celery is one of the most reduced calorie food sources out there. As it's comprised of 95% water, it will be exceptionally difficult to eat sufficient celery to add any kind of significant effect on your day-to-day calorie count. Celery is very filling. It's loaded with supplements like potassium, calcium, and numerous cancer prevention agents. It likewise can be eaten with low-calorie plunges like salsa, which is really the following food on our rundown. Clearly, adding flavor to your suppers is significant, particularly to appreciate what you're eating, and salsa is one of the most reduced calorie plunges accessible. For instance, assuming we take a gander at a standard estimated compartment of Tostitos stout salsa, we see that there's just an aggregate of 130 calories in the entire thing. What's more, odds are good that extremely high. In the event that you're plunging a filling vegetable like celery or peppers into salsa, you're not in any event going to eat near a large portion of the jug. So that makes salsa probably the best tip for fat misfortune. The main plunge or sauce that is vastly improved is hot sauce. Hot sauce essentially contains no calories by any means. It even says 0 calories right on the name. Also, assuming you like hot sauce, it goes incredible with high-protein food varieties like chicken, fish, and eggs, and really hot sauce can go great with food varieties like celery too. What's more, capsaicin is the dynamic fixing found in the chilies that wind up making the hot sauce. The incredible thing about capsaicin is that it can somewhat accelerate your digestion, assisting you with consuming more calories considerably quicker. Then, we have one of the least calorie vegetables, spinach. 1 cup of spinach contains just 7 calories out of those calories. A lot of them come from insoluble fiber, which will assist with topping you off for basically no calories. Spinach additionally furnishes you with significant supplements like calcium, magnesium, potassium, and vitamin A. That is the reason, assuming you appreciate eating servings of mixed greens, I suggest supplanting the lettuce with spinach, since the spinach contains essentially a larger number of supplements than the lettuce. Likewise, since spinach is so low in calories, it tends to be utilized to make a very filling smoothie that ought to be made up generally of spinach in mix with a modest quantity of products of the soil for taste. Another food that is probably going to prompt weight misfortune is soup. The justification for this is on the grounds that soup is very filling, likely on the grounds that it's comprised of no less than 90% water. Obviously, there are various soups with various carbohydrate contents. Notwithstanding, assuming most of your soup is comprised of sound vegetables in blend with a lean protein source, similar to a chicken veggie soup, for instance, then, at that point, it will be very filling and in all probability that will decrease the quantity of calories that you wind up eating each day. To this end, soup is one of my number one things to eat before I really begin eating the remainder of my feast. The high water content in addition to the veggies. Furthermore, the protein is truly going to top your stomach off, making you normally need to eat less when you get to the remainder of your feast. Also, this impact can truly be critical. On the off chance that you start a few suppers or even only one of your dinners with soup. Additionally, beginning with soup subsequent to breaking your quick is an extraordinary method for quieting your appetite. Before you begin eating more unhealthy food sources, practically any stock-based soup formula that is low in carbs will be incredible. You simply need to pay special attention to cream-based soups since they have significantly more calories. One more vegetable that you can use to plunge into one or the other salsa or a high-protein veggie plunge, where curds is utilized as your base, is the chime pepper. Ringer peppers have numerous different purposes while you're attempting to consume fat. For instance, that can be utilized to make delightful tasting sautés. They can likewise be emptied out and loaded down with lean meat like lean ground hamburger or ground turkey. These stuffed peppers can then be broiler prepared for a heavenly low-calorie, profoundly filling high-protein feast. Next, we should discuss a nibble popcorn. Presently, obviously, popcorn can make you put on weight and muscle to fat ratio. On the off chance that you eat a lot of it, this is particularly obvious. In the event that the popcorn has a great deal of added margarine, so you will need to get popcorn with no spread or oil added. The advantage of popcorn is that per calorie, it contains a great deal of fiber, particularly for a crunchy nibble, making it a lot harder to gorge than something like potato chips. For instance, as referenced previously, the fiber is extraordinary at topping you off. 1 cup of thin popcorn contains somewhere around 25 calories. So as long as you restrict yourself to a couple of cups each day, this tidbit can really assist you with consuming fat and shed pounds as opposed to acquire it. Then, we have zucchini. Zucchini can be an incredible option for pasta dishes. All you really want is a spiralizer. By making your pasta out of zucchini, you ought to have the option to save somewhere in the range of 70 to 80% of the calories that you would take in from eating ordinary wheat-based pastas. In the event that you're not completely sold on the flavor of zucchini pasta, I strongly suggest looking into a pesto zucchini pasta formula. When you attempt it, you'll be blown away at how great it tastes, how filling it is, and exactly the number of calories it saves you. Zucchini can likewise clearly be utilized to make a pan-fried food, or it very well may be cubed and tossed into a wide range of various soups. One more incredible option for high-carb food varieties like potatoes and rice is cauliflower. It's most certainly not going to be difficult to eat sufficient cauliflower to acquire muscle versus fat that is on the grounds. That very much like different vegetables, cauliflower contains a great deal of fiber, particularly per calorie. So rather than eating rice or potatoes, you can slice up cauliflower to little rice-estimated pieces and cook it on a skillet. Or then again, you can heat up the cauliflower and pound it into crushed cauliflower. Regardless of whether you add a tad of margarine, the pound cauliflower will have a small portion of the calories that pureed potatoes would. Beside that, there are additionally numerous amazing plans where you can supplant something like pizza covering with a cauliflower hull, saving you calories without causing you to feel denied. Next is kale, which is stuffed brimming with sound supplements, fiber, and it very well may be utilized to make some heavenly filling smoothies, very much like spinach. It can likewise be utilized as a swap for lettuce in your servings of mixed greens. Furthermore, assuming you need a crunchy nibble, you can heat kale leaves subsequent to showering them with a smidgen of olive oil cooking splash and preparing them with a tad of salt and pepper. Since a cup of kale just holds back around 33 calories. Indeed, even with the extra olive oil cooking shower, it will be an undeniably challenging nibble to indulge. Continuing on to one of my #1 natural products for fat misfortune purposes, we have watermelon. The motivation behind why watermelon is so extraordinary is on the grounds that it's comprised of more than 90% water. So by and by, food varieties that are extremely high in water content are typically low in calories, but on the other hand they're very filling. So it's challenging to eat excessively. 100 grams of watermelon contains something like 30 calories. Furthermore, 1 cup of watermelon contains something like 47 calories, and watermelon likewise will furnish you with a significant amino corrosive known as L-arginine, which benefits protein union. One more vegetable that is made up for the most part of water is the cucumber. You can essentially eat an endless measure of cucumbers without acquiring any muscle-to-fat ratio. Cucumbers give fiber, vitamin and beta-carotene. Basically, cutting up some cucumber spears and adding somewhat salt can make your supper significantly more filling. Also, similarly, we have pickles, which are fundamentally cucumbers that have been matured in saline solution. However long you get pickles with no sugar added, they ought to contain just about 0 calories. There's likewise proof that pickle juice can assist with lessening your hunger by balancing out your glucose. Pickles are obviously high in salt. However, because of their low calorie content, you essentially can't eat an adequate number of pickles to really acquire muscle versus fat. Another high protein food that you ought to. If you found this video helpful, and share with your friend. Thank you for watching.